Hi, everyone. I'm Leslie Goodman, and I lead the global events team at Image Skincare. Since we can't get together in person this year, I thought we would all love a little chat and inspiration with our founder, Janna Ronert. I've had the honor of working with Janna for almost 10 years. She's my mentor, and I consider her my friend. Our founder is a true visionary who has grown the Image brand from her kitchen in Texas into an international global company with almost 200 employees. Please welcome Janna Roner. Hi, Janna.
Hello.
So I know a lot of people have heard your story over the years, traveling the world, but I also know we have some new Image fans watching. Tell me a bit about how Image became a company.
Well, first of all, Leslie, thank you so much for hosting this talk today. You know, you and I have traveled the world together and we have had a lot of fun, but this is really our first fireside chat virtually. So it's really great to see you and I'm very happy to be here. So for those of you who are new to Image and maybe haven't heard the story, it started in 2003 and I kind of set out to solve my own skin issue with rosacea. And after being in the professional skincare world for so many years in various positions, from the treatment room to sales to education to distribution, kind of my own experience led me to follow my dream with Image Skincare. And it's interesting, the name Image was really due to my mother's preaching that your image is everything. You know, I grew up on a farm in Nebraska and her image was really camera ready every day. Her skin looked great. She had on a little bit of makeup, minimal, but always lipstick. So kind of the name Image was due to her influence on me, and that was kind of an easy name. The hard part was really kind of starting the company because it started in Houston, Texas, where I was living in, like you said, a small apartment in my kitchen. And for the first year, maybe a little bit more, the shipping and all of the operations was out of my apartment, and I basically just had one assistant. I look back and we had a lot of fun those early days. We launched about 25 products in the beginning. Vital C being the first collection, which is still the #1 selling collection after 17 years for rosacea, dry, dehydrated skin, and sensitive skin. So they were very long hours, not a lot of money, a lot of stress, but certainly a lot of great memories. So I think the story is kind of starting with no customers, one employee, now to having over 30,000 customers, 200 employees, and in 60 countries. It's really been an amazing journey for Image Skincare.
Yes, it has. And I'm honored to have been on part of that journey. So let's talk a little bit about that journey. So when you were thinking of starting the company, what was your thought narrative when you decided that you were going to start a skincare brand?
You know, it was kind of pretty simple, actually. I kind of looked at the word best and I said, you know, we need to have the best clinically effective products because that's the world that I knew, professional skincare. I knew that we needed the best, really passionate professional team members. I knew that we needed the best authentic service where people could get the right product the first time. I knew that I wanted to make it simple for the users and for the people using the products. And I really wanted a line that allowed every person, kind of from the mailroom to the boardroom, to have great skin at a fair and reasonable cost. So we moved fast. We started the company and we really haven't looked back. And that was my plan in 2003. And we still kind of do that, as you know, to this day. We move at a pretty fast pace to get products to the end user.
We do. So speaking of fast pace,
Yeah.
tell me about the evolution and the changes in the skincare industry that you've seen.
Wow, that's a big question. So many changes, but I think what first comes to my mind is really the word technology. You know, when I founded the company in 2003, there was no internet presence, there was no social media, there was no Zoom. I was doing education from slides. Maybe you're too young to know what those are, but those are these little things that went in a tray, and handouts, and really marketing was word of mouth and a few print magazines that were in the industry. So the reach of the customer was only as good as your selling skills, kind of one-on-one, and the sales representatives. And you know, today we can train and educate in Ireland at the same time as we're training a school in Sacramento, and at the same time training a group of estheticians in New York City. So I think technology has been amazing for our brand, especially since we're in 60 countries, to be able to do so much in such little time. And you know that just 4 months ago, you and I were on a plane going coast to coast to, you know, be in person for these worldwide launch parties, and that all stopped with the COVID. And now we've had our most successful launch ever virtually. So more people, more reach, and you know, for our company, really a lot more sales. I think the other big change in the industry as it relates to technology is around ingredients and delivery systems. You know, the plant-derived stem cells, the new peptides that are available, encapsulated retinols, vectorized technology now with our new microburst technology, with our truly new launch products, with the wrinkle smoother and the max contour. It's just amazing what you can deliver into the skin and how many ingredients that do so many different things at once. You know, a cleanser can now do 5 things. A sunscreen can do 10 things, you know. Blue light with the sunscreen. Who would have ever thought? So I think the new natural, clean, clinical approach is really awesome for the changes in skincare. I know last year we underwent over 100, I guess you could say, kind of reformulations to really make sure we had the best clean clinical ingredients. And that takes a lot of work. That takes a very big team, but it's really kind of that ultimate balancing act of those botanical ingredients and clinically smart ingredients in a new clean way. So a lot has changed, but definitely for the better. For the customer that's using these products, they're even more effective technology than we've ever seen in history.
Absolutely. So let's talk about, so we talked about the beginning of Image Skincare and the beginning of the brand. And now let's talk about today and the brand today. So when was the moment, or what moment did you have, if you could remember it, or the feeling that you had when you knew Image Skincare was headed in the direction to be the #1 professional skincare brand?
I don't know if there was actually, how you asked me, a moment, but I do remember in '03 writing on a sticky note at a Denny's restaurant in a booth that I wanted Image to be the #1 professional skincare brand. I had this goal and dream kind of from the very beginning. I mean, maybe you remember, even in the hiring process, I would always share that goal with anybody who I was interviewing. Some looked at me like a deer in headlights, especially early on when I had so few products, no team, and no brand awareness. But I do remember the representative from Houston that I first hired. She asked, well, how are we going to become #1? And I said, you know, just one happy skin customer at a time. And I think that's what we still continue to do at Image with our team members, with our consultations. And it's just, I think, kind of taking a lot of little small steps in the right direction, but doing the right thing along the way. to get that number one spot. I mean, I'm still shocked and amazed at celebrities and Hollywood stars and top models and pop singers that just randomly DM me or our company saying how much they love Image skincare. So I think we've done through the years a good job of one happy skin customer at a time, to be able to get to the number one spot.
Okay, so we talked about business. Now let's shift a little bit.
Okay.
So we spoke about Image and its rise to the top, but let's talk a little bit about what it takes to get there. So balance is a hot topic these days. We have so much to accomplish in a day. There's not enough hours in the day. How do you define balance, and what does balance mean to you?
I think over the years, my definition has changed, as I've probably turned 50 and have a family now. But I think balance comes in so many forms. There's physical, there's emotional, there's spiritual. And I think if you can try to maybe live in peace and harmony every day, which isn't very easy in this world, but that really is kind of the ultimate balance. I think you have to work at it. I think for me personally, I have to schedule it, and you really have to organize your life to have that balance. It just doesn't come automatically. It just doesn't fall from the sky that one day you're balanced. And I think for me, balance is creating a rhythm of what I have to do, and also the balance of what I get to do. I mean, I've been very fortunate in my life, in this job, that I get to come to work every day versus I have to go to work every day. And that in and of itself is balancing. But I mean, don't get me wrong, for you and the people who are watching, I guess this talk of ours, every day is not overflowing with fun. Every day is not a holiday. Every day is not an Instagrammable day. But I think if you have a mindset of headstrong perseverance to reach that goal, then that's when the balance for me in my life, has come into play. I think on the emotional side of balance, it's important to have a really great support system of friends and family outside of work, and I know your work become your friends and family, but that can be very all consuming if that's all your support system. So I have a great family. My husband says that my family has the gift of gab, which we do. We gab almost every day about something. And I just always take time out to schedule a Zoom with them or talk to them to kind of keep me balanced. I think my husband, Dr. Mark, and a lot of you out there know him. He's a very good balancer for me. He has a strong German discipline, as we all know. And he's really, really honest. And I think that also keeps me very grounded to have that source of just authenticity in my life. And I think lastly, I just try to minimize toxins in my life. I've come to realize, and especially during this COVID, that it means more to me to keep balance, to minimize toxic people, complainers, whiners, bad attitudes. And I think what you surround yourself with is what you can become if you don't balance that out. So I think if you can try to be around uplifting, positive, forward thinking, kind of hard pressing people, I think that will serve you well, even though sometimes it may feel imbalanced, but that's been true for me anyway. I don't know. Don't you feel that way at Image?
Absolutely. And, when you talk about people surrounding you, throughout the years, we've really seen the company, shift and grow. And I've also, something that you've always done was to make sure the people around us and leading the company were positive doers and just get it done with a smile on your face. And every day is not going to be, the best day, like you said, Instagrammable, but we have fun doing it, and you keep that balance by keeping the positivity around you.
Yeah, I think so. And I think also, and this is such a easy 5-letter word, but you have to take time to think. And you have to almost schedule a time to like think about things. And I know that the last few months, we've all probably been thinking about a lot of different things in our life, but I've had a lot of time to think about image and life and priorities and goals and kind of my own family. But I think you need to continue to think big, even, you know, during tough times. I recently had a little think tank session with some of our executive team, and out of the big, some crazy ideas that I had, they chose 3 and we're implementing those immediately. And I think just having time to think and think bigger allows you to aim higher, and certainly helps our customers reap the benefit from us thinking. But I think that's also good balance, is take time to think.
It is. So, okay, so talking about thinking, now let's shift to health. So obviously balance and positive thinking goes hand in hand with health. But how do you stay healthy, keep your family healthy, mentally and physically?
Well, I mean, that's a big question. It's certainly not an easy one, but I've always been, as you know, a very curious person. You know, I think being curious about life, people, wellness, beauty, success, and even curious about failure, not only in your own life, but looking at how other people have handled adversity, as keeps me very mentally healthy. I think you need to never stop learning, you know, and I think the day when you think you know it all is probably the day that you'll fall pretty hard. I mean, I can't tell you how many virtual online learnings I do to keep my mind sharp, just reading books about positivity, people's lives, but just knowing this doesn't mean anything unless you do it. You know,
Right, you have to apply it.
right, you have to kind of deliberately practice. And I think one of the things that's really kept me healthy is about 7 years ago, Mark and I, we became vegan. And that was for me a real game changer for my health. I mean, I knew the studies that eating a plant-based diet, you know, improves your heart, reduces certain cancers. But I know, since I've personally done that, my overall health has improved. I feel like I metabolize food better, my energy level is higher, and I feel like I get better sleep. My guilty pleasure, though, is tortilla chips. That is not on a plant-based diet, but that's probably my biggest downfall. Is, I think, probably living in Texas for so long, I love Mexican food. But so when I do eat those tortilla chips, I have to exercise. But that's been a part of my daily routine for a long time, and probably even more so now. I do yoga, I run, I swim, I bike with the kids. Kind of that Peloton tread has really become my best friend through the coronavirus. I do get a little bit discouraged when I see those rankings. You know, I feel like I'm doing my best and I'm like the worst on the rankings, but I just keep going. I try to stay toned doing weights, but I mean, I'm over 50 now, but I think the bottom line is, you know, I just try very hard. In December, of just last year, I decided to train, and I did my first marathon. I trained very hard. I was very proud when I crossed that finish line. And I think probably just the takeaway is you're really never too old to finish any race.
Yeah, no, I saw you train for that, and that was probably a very proud moment for you. I know it was.
It was. I really couldn't believe I finished it, but I was very proud. Will I do it again? Probably not. I don't know. We'll see. It was a tough one.
All right, so you mentioned aging. So Image's tagline is age later.
Mhm.
And I think aging later resonates differently now than it did when we were teenagers, and more than ever. So when you were a little girl and you thought of being 50 years old, What did you think 50 would look like then versus what it means to you now?
I mean, look, when I was little and I looked at a 50-year-old person, the first word that comes to me is dinosaur. I mean, literally. So, I mean, and also growing up on a farm, we watched a lot of football in Nebraska and especially the Super Bowl. And I was thinking, who would have ever thought that a 50-year-old woman like Jake Lowe could bring the house down at her performance this year at the Super Bowl? So it's really my perception, and I'm over 50, has dramatically changed over the years. I mean, and other women too, like Halle Berry and Demi Moore and Nicole Kidman, to name a few. I think 50 is kind of the new 30, you know? And when I celebrated my 50th birthday, you were at my birthday party, I really celebrated my age and hopefully the wisdom and just kind of embracing being the best I could be. And I definitely know that Image Skincare has had a huge role in my aging process. I have been getting peels every day for 30 years, or every month for 30 years. I've also not gone a day in the past 17 years without wearing a sunblock. So I'm pretty happy with my age today. And I think that, you know, with the image and the technology and what you can do with skin and, you know, what you can do with non-invasive surgery today, you can look pretty young for a really long time. Or that's what I'm banking on. That's what I'm banking on.
I'm banking on it too. Okay, so if you were to look back and have to give your 20-year-old self some advice, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
I would tell my 20-year-old self to follow your gut more. I think when I look back in my 20s, I didn't always follow my gut out of fear or lack of confidence, or I don't know really why, but it never led to a successful outcome in my personal or professional life. When you have that little gut feeling or something is talking to you right here, you need to pretty much follow it. And you can't let that fear paralyze you. You have to kind of push through with very headstrong perseverance that you deserve success and that you have the ability to make your own decisions no matter what anyone else believes or thinks. And that's a good place to be. That's probably what I would have told myself, because I follow my gut now.
You do, and we've had long conversations about that over the years, and it's super important. Okay, so let's talk about family and home life.
Yep.
In this new environment, everyone seems to have paused and shuffled priorities. Knowing you, I know family is a big priority of yours, probably number one.
Yep.
What does family mean to you?
I mean, for me, it's everything. It creates the most happiness in my life. It's kind of the rock of my life. And it's interesting, the new norm at being home, the quarantining, the tutoring, the cooking, the cleaning has really kind of been a blessing for us. You know, Mark and I used to travel, and you too, at least 200 days a year between the two of us. So now to be able to share kind of every day and watch the kids, and the kids watch us what we're doing now, from this type of, you know, Zoom to they see us doing webinars and holding meetings. I think it's given them a clearer understanding. I mean, they're only 11, but a clearer understanding of what we do and why we do it. Because just to get on a plane and then unpack and come home, they didn't really know what we were doing. So I think, you know, it's been really good for our family. We talked about this earlier, we're probably more productive now. And, you know, for us, and even my sisters, I have 3 sisters. And my father passed away a year ago, so my mom is home by herself. But now she's become an expert in FaceTime, and I think we're probably connecting with the family more than we ever have. So for me, it's been really, really great.
So you mentioned your kids and you have twins, a boy and a girl. How do you see the world for them when they're adults or later on in life? What are you envisioning, and what do you see the world look like when they're older?
Well, there's a lot going on in the world right now. And I think I can only answer that question based on the principles of what myself and my husband, Mark, are teaching our children. And I guess I just almost pray that we have a world of compassion, embracing diversity, kind of inclusion of all races, a real deep understanding of taking care of our planet, which is super important from an environmental standpoint. And I think always trying to lend a helping hand to your neighbor. So we try to teach our kids that, we try to live that. And I hope in future years that, our planet and the world can embrace those values. I definitely hope to see a better skin world, and growing our company more, and having our kids see the value of hard work and perseverance and not quitting. So that's kind of what we're teaching them to do.
Okay, so we've talked about different relationships throughout every topic that we've talked about through this session. What is the key to a successful relationship? And not just talking about, a partner at home, just relationships overall. What do you think is key to successful relationships?
I think first and foremost is trust. You have to trust that business partner, that personal partner. You have to respect them. You may not always like what they say, but you have to respect what they say. And I think if you can't openly talk to people or communicate, it gets very complicated. Anger, fear, resentment, all of those things kind of seep in to a relationship, and then I think it eventually falls apart. I read a really good book that I highly recommend. Many years ago, a book was recommended to me called The Speed of Trust. And they talked about very, very successful, the Warren Buffetts, the Bill Gates, the very successful people in business. And I think the speed of trust is what propels kind of your personal life and your business life. So I think those are the most important things.
Definitely, absolutely. I 100% agree. Trust is paramount. So, okay, we've gone full circle. We've talked about professional. We've talked about personal. I'd like to ask you some insightful questions.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Okay. What are the two biggest obstacles you've overcome professionally and personally?
I can't even begin to tell you how many obstacles in both areas of my life that you come across if you want to do something or be something special or create a company that is very special. And I think if anybody tells you they don't have those, it's probably not very authentic. But I think professionally, the biggest obstacle were really the first years with money. That was a huge obstacle. Not having it was a big obstacle. Living kind of from customer to customer, paycheck to paycheck, paying other people before I paid myself, working very long hour days for Image, and then working on the weekends, moonlighting, doing peels and facials on the weekends, to make extra money. And there were so many setbacks in the beginning. If any of you watching have started a business, from personnel to formulas to laboratories to legal issues. I mean, there's just so much that goes into running a business, but I just pretty much kept my head down and knowing that the slow and steady always win the race, you know. And now we have such a full team of experts that work every day to make image skincare better, is just really comforting and very exciting. So I think that's on the professional level, the money thing, and really pushing through those tough times. I think personally was definitely last year when my father passed away. You knew him very well. A lot of people in the company, and even from launch parties and events and educations. I mean, he was my mentor, my biggest cheerleader, my biggest supporter, and my biggest critic. Always make me improve. And his passing was really a wake-up call how short life is. And, you know, don't wait for tomorrow to make a change in your life. Tell everybody how much they mean to you, and just kind of strive every day to be the best person. But those lessons that I learned from my dad are still engraved in my heart, for sure.
Yeah, I had the honor of knowing your dad, and he was a very special man, and he was so proud of you.
He
So
was.
proud. So, have you finally reached a point in your career where other people's judgments do not impact how you see or judge yourself?
I am happy to say that yes, at 54 years old, I finally have come to a point of a lot of self-acceptance and self-love, and where people's opinions don't matter, you know, what they think about maybe me personally or decisions. My self-esteem isn't really tied to anyone's judgment anymore. I know that I try to do the best that I can do. I try to beat to my own drum, but take into effect all of people's ideas and thoughts. But I don't try to let any negative talk influence me anymore. And it used to really bother me, everything from maybe my appearance or my wardrobe or decisions or just so many things. But now I feel very secure that I am just who I am. You know, my present, my past is what it is, and I'm pretty happy overall with the way things are, and that just comes with a lot of work, self work, comes with a lot of experience, a lot of hard knocks, but knowing that you just have to really be who you are, and that's your best self.
Yeah, and I think that's apparent in how you carry yourself and speak, and I think it comes through.
Thank you.
So, next question, rapid fire. Do you have any regrets?
No, I don't live my life with any regrets. I've never been one to look in the rearview mirror. I do, though, look back at some of the choices, decisions that didn't turn out so well, that maybe I didn't do the best or the right thing, but I've learned from those. And it's better. I mean, the only way you know real success is you got to have a lot of failure. So I also live by the motto that this isn't a dress rehearsal. This is the show. This is the show we're at. And, you know, you need to kind of follow that passion for each of the, 1,440 minutes a day. So this is the show. You better make the best of it.
You sure are. So, out of all of the advice you've received, and I know you've received a lot of it.
Yep.
What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
And I have received a lot of good advice. I have and continue to have so many great leaders and mentors and people that I look up to. But I think knowing me for so many years, you probably know what's coming. I mean, the best advice that I've ever received was early on, and I heard it all through my childhood and all through my adult life, that from my dad saying, the lazy are never lucky. And he liked all types of people, every color, every race, every religion, but he did not like lazy people. And he always preached that you got to make your own luck, and success only happens with really hard work and driven perseverance. And I have found that most successful people, you know, have followed that same advice. I remember when I was at my first year at Image and money was super tight. So like I said, I was moonlighting, doing peels at spas all day Saturday and Sunday. And it's so funny that some of those customers are still my best customers after 17 years. And, you know, I think the advice has followed me through also with interviewing. I mean, I interviewed you. I don't interview every person now, but I used to for many, many years. And I've interviewed thousands of people. And one of the questions that I always ask is, what did you do in high school for work? What did
You do ask that. You do ask that question.
Or what did you do in college for work? And I found that a strong work ethic starts at a very young age, and that follows you throughout your entire career. Because you can teach a lot of people a lot of things: skincare, peels, beauty, marketing now. You know, you're doing these interviews. I mean, you can learn a lot, but what you can't teach people is hustle. And I will say at Image, it's a very passionate group of skin hustlers. And I think this is what truly separates our company from any other skincare company outside of great products. But we really are a group of skin hustlers for sure.
We really are. So speaking of hustling and coming full circle in this conversation, what makes you most proud?
I mean, having this interview with you. No.
Perfect. Same.
I think I'm most proud with what my parents instilled in all of us girls. Just learning what a great family unit is all about. And I think one that is based on, you know, trust and respect and open communication. And I think when you have a good sense of family, it overflows into everything. You know, this family that we've created at Image. I mean, who would have ever thought from 0 customers, we'd have 30,000, 60 countries, you know, an international company, all starting from an apartment. And I'm just so happy that my parents instilled in me the, you know, some of the things we've talked about, and that you just don't quit. If you start something and you set a goal, you do not quit till you get there. And I pinch myself every day of our success and how fun it has been and how rewarding it has been, and just how many lives have been changed because of one simple idea like Image. So that's what I'm most proud of.
That's, you should be very proud. So Janna, it has been my ultimate pleasure to have this open, meaningful conversation with you so everyone can listen in. We thank you for the insight, advice, and window into your journey, both professionally and personally. We know your journey is not over, and we cannot wait to see what's next.
Well,
So if you want, I mean, we truly cannot wait to see what's next. So if you want to follow the skincare journey, follow @Image Skincare on Instagram. And if you'd like to follow Janna's personal journey, @Janna Rohnert on Instagram. Thank you for watching In Conversation with Janna Rohnert. Have a skin-inspired day.
Thank you, Leslie. Bye.
Thank you, Janna. Bye-bye.